So a few weeks ago, I got scammed on Vinted. I ordered what I believed was going to be a Gamecube bundle and I received a lollipop stick. If you haven't seen part one of this video, please click up here and watch that before continuing. But anyway, a few weeks passed and I wanted to just come back to you all with an update. I've been so busy with moving into the new shed, I haven't had a chance to come back to you with the outcome from Vinted. But anyway, here we are. So what I'd done, as soon as I received the lollipop stick, I actually opened up a case through Vinted. Now, it's slightly different to eBay. It's very hard to contact Vinted via phone. I haven't actually managed to speak to anyone at Vinted on the telephone. I think it's very much an automated system. So what I'd done, I opened up a case to say I wasn't happy with the item. And when you receive an item through Vinted, Vinted actually hold the money until you either confirm everything's okay, or if you have a problem, you can open up a case. And I believe they give you 48 hours. So my thought process with this scam is, how can the person scamming actually scam people if Vinted hold the money? And from what I've been reading online, I think what they expect is now and again some people will not open up the package for a couple of days, and by that time Vinted have released the money to them and they've left the account. I mean, this guy's account is not active on Vinted. So Vinted do have buyer protection that I believe you can switch off if you want to. So my advice to you would leave buyer protection on, because then you are covered. So anyway, long story short, these scammers are expecting to send things to people, and maybe people receive the item and put it to one side and don't deal with it. Maybe they're away when the item arrives and they don't kind of get round to it for a couple of days, and by that time it's too late to report anything wrong with it on Vinted. Anyway, because I had my suspicions when I ordered this item, and the fact of the customer's account kind of disappeared as from the first video, when I received the item, what I made sure to do is to check it straight away. So what I'd done, I opened up a case with Vinted through their system to report there was an issue. I sent them probably 6 pictures of, the item I received, the packaging, etc. And also in the comments there, I put that I believed I'd been scammed and this is the reason why, and the person's account's been deleted. Then what happens when you click submit? Vinted give the seller 48 hours to respond before they kind of step in. Very similar to eBay's process, where they give the buyer and seller time to actually come to some kind of agreement or to, put their case forward as well. As you can probably expect, because the seller has scammed me or tried to scam me, they've left Vinted, so their account has gone, they don't exist anymore. So obviously I didn't hear anything back from them. And then Vinted stepped in, and this is where I started to panic, because effectively is your word against the sellers. Now, are Vinted going to side with me? I provided evidence. I've shown as much evidence as I possibly could with the label showing Vinted and the tracking number, etc, etc. And then I got an email from Vinted, and Vinted did refund me. So they have sided with me. They've explained that because the seller didn't come back with any relevant information, I will be refunded in full. And that refund has hit my account. So in the end, everything's fine. I was frustrated because I didn't receive the item I had ordered. I was frustrated because I had to wait, I think it was 5 days for the money to actually drop back into my account. So I was out of pocket that money effectively for around 10 days from start to finish. Quite frustrating, it didn't sink my ship, but I guess if money's a bit tight, it could have caused a lot of issues. But anyway, long story short, I was covered. But my tips to people watching this update: don't turn off buyer protection if it gives you the option. You are paying a couple of extra pounds, it's definitely worth it. And with Vinted, if you get stuff delivered to, say, a locker, to the parcel shop, or whatever it may be, collect it straight away. Because if you leave it in the locker for a couple of days or the parcel shop in a couple of days, that delays and that gives the scammers more chance to effectively you not to check the item. But as soon as you get the item out of the locker or from the parcel shop or it's been delivered, check it there and then. I mean, this was obvious. It's a big games console bundle and it turned up in a small little package. But say for instance you order some clothing from Vinted, okay, make sure you check it all over and make sure if there is an issue you report it straight away. You send good accurate pictures to Vinted so they can be on your side. But overall, I'm going to give my experience on Vinted a 10 out of 10 when it comes to the customer support. They stood by me. The only thing they could maybe improve is a phone number to maybe contact someone. But what I will say with the buyer protection, as long as you provide really good evidence, you are going to be covered. So I guess the grand old question is, would I use Vinted again? And the answer is absolutely yes. I was probably a bit naive, not understanding the scams on Vinted. Something I have realised, and what people from the previous video have told me since, is the photos of the Gamecube bundle were mirrored, and that is an obvious scam. And I guess I was new to the platform, I was a bit naive to it. So now when I buy on Vinted, I'm a bit more clued up. I'm a bit more aware of when things are sometimes too good to be true, that this deal probably was. It's probably going to be a scam. So yeah, keep your wits about you guys. I just wanted to give you a quick update on that. Off to the car boots this weekend. Really excited to try and hopefully fill up the new lockups. Have a good weekend, and I will see you in the next video.